knock. Knock, knock.
Welcome to Sealaska. Welcome home. We are proud to have you as one of our newest shareholders. Whether you make your home just down the street from Sealaska headquarters, elsewhere in Southeast Alaska, or anywhere else in the world, your home is here with us too. We value our inspired, diverse shareholder base. There is a place for everyone at Sealaska. No matter how far our descendants may venture from this place, you will always be part of it. Our ancestors walked the lands of Southeast Alaska, fished the waters, hunted the forests, and more recently, through the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, our people became the legal landowners of much of our ancestral territory. The land and waters and our people, Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian, all of it, all of us, are intertwined. Stewardship of our lands and waters here in Southeast Alaska is a tremendous responsibility. But through hard work and working together with our communities, Sealaska strives for balance between people and planet, between sustainable land management and sustained economic development, and between business and culture. This idea of balance drives our business as we work towards restoring balance to our environments, with an ultimate goal of global ocean health. Our operations are diverse across Alaska and the planet, but work together to foster growth in business while lifting up our home communities and investing in healthy lands, forests, and waters. These efforts come together under the network of One Sealaska, which includes our business operations arm, Wooch-een, along with the collective efforts of close partners, the Sealaska Heritage Institute, Sustainable Southeast Partnership, and Spruce Root. We cherish our relationship with these and other partners, drawing on our collective strength to lift all our communities together. Sealaska provides shareholder dividends twice a year and many other benefits that we are excited and proud to offer. Sealaska offers scholarships to those pursuing post-secondary education and vocational training opportunities to those seeking other paths. We offer workforce development opportunities for shareholders at all career stages, many of which directly support our balanced land management strategy. Our summer internship program helps foster growth and forge connections for college students, while vocational training provides both early and mid-career shareholders with new skills to support their dreams. Sealaska also supports our communities through policy work, advocating for critical cultural and political issues at the state and federal level. Protecting traditional ways of life and cultural values, along with the lands and waters that have nourished our people for generations, are all Sealaska priorities. We advocate for our ancestral languages with the Sealaska Language Endowment Fund, helping revitalize our languages by supporting advanced speakers and gaining proficiency and fluency now before it is too late. Shareholders are our power, all of you, from around the globe. We take pride in our ability to come together in all our unique strengths and talents, drawing on our diversity to support each other through the challenges of today's world. No matter where our shareholders are, we are all connected to the lands, to the waters, to our ancestors, to each other. Welcome to Sealaska. Welcome home.
Can't hear you, Jaylene.
Jaylene, can you unmute yourself?
Man, I was doing awesome too. Sorry. Hello, everybody. I just want to thank Anthony for his part in that beautiful video. And I want to kick off our event tonight and just thank everybody out there in the virtual world for joining us today. What we're doing today is giving all of our shareholders an opportunity to meet our candidates. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jaylene Kukash. I'm the Vice President for Policy and Legal Affairs at Sealaska, as well as the Corporate Secretary. And in my role as the Corporate Secretary, I have to make sure we get out our corporate proxy statement to shareholders and administer our corporate election. And so all of you should have received your proxy and proxy statement and annual report last Friday electronically. You could access it on mysealaska.com. You could have gotten a link in your email if you're a Go Green. We've also mailed those to those who prefer to get a paper copy. And so they should be arriving any moment because they were postmarked on Friday. So the goal of today is to let all of our shareholders meet our candidates who are running. We have 4 seats up for election this year on our proxy. And so we will be electing 4 candidates for the board of directors. We have 4 incumbent directors who are running for these seats, as well as 3 independent candidates. I do want to remind shareholders out there, you can vote your proxy online or by paper, and the important deadlines to remember are June 2nd is our early bird deadline. And if you vote by June 2nd, you're eligible for some of our early bird prizes, including a round trip tickets on Alaska Airlines and some great cash prizes. If you vote in the election, we do need to have your proxy by June 22nd. That is the proxy deadline by which the inspector of elections should receive your proxy either online or it should be received in their hands by June 22nd. So make sure you mail it early if you're doing the regular snail mail. And then we do have our annual meeting on June 24th in Klawock, Alaska. So if you didn't vote your proxy, you can vote in person in Klawock. You have to do it in Klawock. So if you can join us in person, you can also vote in person in Klawock on that day. We have a number of meetings coming up in addition to this, and I appreciate our candidates joining us today to share a little bit about themselves and answer some questions. We also have a community meeting in Anchorage tomorrow night, starting at 5 o'clock Alaska time. And that actual meeting will be live streamed. So those of you who cannot be at any of the in-person meetings over the coming weeks, we do have that meeting webcast for all of you. I'll talk a little bit more about the upcoming meetings later, but I want to hand it off now to our moderator for today's candidate forum. And that is Todd Antioquia, who formerly worked with us here at Sealaska and has since started his own business doing communications and great work for many clients throughout Alaska. And he's also a director with Gold Belt Corporation, the Urban Corporation here in Juneau. So thank you so much, Todd, for joining us today. Appreciate your help getting to know the candidates and sharing information with all of our shareholders. So I'll hand it off to you. Thank you.
Great. Jaylene Jaylene, I so appreciate being here. This is the second year I've had the honor of sharing this time with the candidates running for the board of directors and with the management team that does so much work to manage the elections for the corporation and for we as shareholders. I'm here in my capacity as a proud Sealaska shareholder, much like all of you that are tuning in today. I so appreciate this time with you. Kanahake Uhaptuasauk. My Tlingit name is Kanahake. I'm Eagle Killer Whale Tsagwedi from Cake in Juneau. Was it just a pleasure to be able to spend a little bit of time with the 7 candidates right before we joined here. I hope that you'll all enjoy getting to know them a little bit more, and towards the end of the forum today, we'll give you some other ways to be able to learn even more about them. I want to give you a little bit of outline of our format today. We have the 7 candidates with us. We're going to ask each one of the candidates to provide a introduction of a minute each. And then we have 6 questions that we're going to be asking each of the candidates. And each of their responses, the order of the responses has all been randomized. None of the candidates have seen these questions before this evening, and they'll have 45 seconds per question to answer. And to you candidates, again, Gunoschish Hawa Doyak Shnusum for participating in this forum. I will ask you to please do your best to honor the up to deadlines, the minute for the introduction and conclusion, and the 45 seconds response for each of the answers to the specific questions. Jaylene, if you do see her camera pop up, that means you have 10 seconds left on your response. And if she raises her hand, that means you've surpassed your time. So we appreciate you honoring that, and gonna cheese Jaylene for being the timekeeper. So with that, I'll ask each of the candidates to please join me in the forum, and we'll move on to introductions. So I'll give you all a second to come online. Goodness, geez, how Newsom for joining us. We're going to again start with the introductions. I'm going to start with Mr. Monaco Ortiz. Monaco.
Hello. Thank you, Todd. Hello, shareholders. My name is Monaco Ortiz. I am the grandson of Thomas J. Hansen, who was Tlingit from the Eagle clan. He was born in Ketchikan and raised in Sitka boarding school. He was an orphan. So there are a couple of things that I really am trying to focus on as a candidate. It's getting profits up and also getting shareholder hiring. I think that can be done in the service area. It's an area that I work in as an engineer. And so, again, glad to be here. Gunoschish Hala.
Sheesh, Monaco. With that, we'll move on to Sadhu, Angela Mashad, Dr. Mashad.
Wasai Iti, Angela Misho, Dusab, Chipanadi, Ayahat, Daktangtan, Ayahat Yaki. Welcome everybody in the virtual world. Hopefully we'll be able to see a lot of you in person as we are going around to the different communities. But all of the rest of you, I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us tonight. I'm Dr. Angela Michaud, and I am in Anchorage, Alaska right now. Our family is from Hunan. I grew up in Ketchikan. So I have my Doctor of Chiropractic degree, my Bachelor's of Science degree from Oregon State University, and my Master's of Business Administration and International Business from Pitt State University. So I thank you again all for being here today, and I will talk to you more soon.
Thank you, Dr. Michaud. Kailjius, welcome.
Thank you, Todd. I want to welcome everybody here. I'm calling in from the homelands of the Tagia I'm getting corrected, in Los Angeles, and I apologize if I said that wrong. I come from Heidelberg, and my Haida name is Kailjius. My grandmother is Kailjius Helen Sanderson. Ed Sanderson is my grandfather. Carolyn Sanderson is my mother, and Gerald Oshlang is my father from Metlakatla. My Simpson grandmother is Cora Booth, and my grandfather was Elmer Booth. I'm very proud. I'm a mother. My daughter is Verlaine. I have a son named Ty, another daughter named Annie. I've got grandchildren. I have Ariane, my oldest grandson, Julio, Seneca, and my darling Gianna. Today is just a wonderful day to be able to share with you a little bit about who we are at Sealaska, what we've done as board of directors. Currently, I serve as Chief Justice for the Tlingit and Haida Tribal Courts of Alaska, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals. I am an attorney. Sometimes that's not always something we tell people, but I am. And I am the volunteer executive director for the Hadas Kilkuyas Foundation, because culture and language are critical to our existence. I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for taking the time to get more informed and educated about what we're doing. And I hope you're as excited as we are in sharing this information. How Todd?
How with that, we'll move on to Ganesha, Karen Todd. Welcome.
Thank you, Todd. Gunashad Wasa, Yale Nachasati, Klupnahadi Ayahat, Dagana Hit Doc, Boston Penobscot Yachty. My name is Karen Togg, and I am currently finishing my 3rd year of the first term as a board of director. And I want to just say it's been a privilege and an honor to be in this position and serve all for you shareholders. It's been a wonderful experience, and I hope to continue. I have been retired until lately. I was requested to come fill in for a short term as the Chief Financial Officer for the Central Council of Tlingit and Haida Indians of Alaska. So no longer retired, working again. I am calling from Zontakahini. I'm here in Juneau for a little bit, but my home has been for the last 3.5 years, Chilkoot Kwan up in Haines and Klukwan. Happy to see that we're all here, and hope to meet more of you during the community meetings. Goodness cheese.
With Cheesh. Hagateen, Morgan Howard. Welcome.
Thanks, Todd. Chegat Keen, Yuchat Duasak, Kekwadi Ayachat. Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Howard. I'm Kekwadi, originally from Yakutat. I grew up in Yakutat and Kodiak. I've made my home here in Seattle area, raising my family. I have 3 children. And it's been 6 years since I've been on the board, and I've been the Finance Committee Chair, which I am, and the Communications Subcommittee Chair. And I wanted to tell you that the reason why I'm here, if I could, is because of these 2 folks. This is my great-grandparents, Olaf Abraham and Susie Abraham. And I take my name, Chegat Keen, from my great-grandfather, Olaf Abraham, who was a clan leader for the Tequidese. They really are the inspiration for everything I do, and I wouldn't be here without them, so I wanted to make sure that I would bring them into the room to get me through this evening. Thank you, Todd.
Sheesh, Morgan. Charles Skulka Jr., Kitgoon, welcome.
Goodness, geez. Thank you all. Just like to say hi to all the shareholders out there. My name is Charlie Skulka Jr. My family's from Heidelberg, and we now live in Sitka. I'm running for the board to help keep culture alive. I spend most of my time working in the school district, working with kids. I also get the opportunity to work with kids in other communities, not just Sitka. I bring culture, art, and technology into the districts. And I'm just happy to be here. I've been wanting to run for a long time now. And thanks to the support of my family, my community, and friends, I'm finally able to do so. I'm looking forward to answering your questions tonight and meeting you at the meetings that are coming up. Goodness, cheesh, how
Geez, how Charles. We have Patrick Anderson. Dahude is having some challenges connecting to the panelists, but is on the phone, I understand. And we'll ask Mr. Anderson to please join us now and give us his up to 1 minute introduction. Mr. Anderson, welcome. And we're unable to hear you just yet. We'll go ahead and see your
Todd?
Yes, welcome, Patrick.
Oh, yes, I am having difficulty connecting on the Zoom, but I appreciate this opportunity to introduce myself. My family is out of Yakutat. My mother is the late Patricia Malott Moore. My father is the late Clifford Stephen Anderson, who spent 40 years of his life in Metlakatla. My Tlingit name is Dah Hudang. It's a Shankukedi name. I am named after the last planned leader of the Thunderbird House in Dry Bay, Yakutat, Blind David Dick. I have served on the Sealaska board before. I've served on the Sealaska Heritage Institute. For all of my adult life, I have been engaged in public policy matters involving Alaska Natives. I spent a good part of my career as a practicing attorney. I joined the Alaska Bar and practiced with a number of firms, but since 2003, my career has been in tribal organizations, and I'm currently operating out of my own business, looking at a number of opportunities that involve healing and wellness, an area that I've been involved with in the tribal organization before, but I am attempting to put together a healing process. I'm excited about another opportunity, and I hope the questions will allow me an opportunity to explain why. And I'm certainly happy that all of you are here. I wish I could see more of you, but I will be at the Seattle or the Anchorage meeting tomorrow, and hope to meet some of the Anchorage folk that are going to be attending. Thank you, Todd.
Patrick, and just a reminder to shareholders that there is more information if you go to mysealaska.com and onto the elections connection. There is information within the proxy statement about each of the 7 candidates, as well as videos, and I'm sure there'll be other ways to gain more information as you move throughout the election. So, to each to each of you for your introductions. So we'll move on to our specific questions to you all. Again, the order of respondents has been randomized, and I will ask that you do watch for Jaylene. I know 45 seconds can go by very, very quickly, but we are very eager to hear what you have to say in response to these questions. The first question relates to a recent survey that was conducted with the Sealaska shareholders. And in that shareholder survey, one of the questions was asked of the shareholders to express what their priorities were for the corporation. And more than 51%, the very top response from shareholders was that advocating for Native rights should be the priority number 1 for Sealaska Corporation. The question to you is, what are some of the top priorities you have that you believe Sealaska should focus on? And we'll start with Kaeljus.
Batter up, here I am. Okay, so the question is, what would be the priority for me for Sealaska? I looked at that survey, and I do agree policy is critical. And there's not enough time to answer this question because there's so many overwhelming issues. I believe that we are transitioning in an economic transition, so continuing to look towards ocean health. We've got technology, we've got patents, things that are worth a future investment. But overall, it all comes back to our children and our great-grandchildren, and what path are we paving for them, both culturally and through program success, to make sure that this happens. Thank you.
Great. What are your thoughts on where Sealaska should prioritize its focus?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up. Did you say Gunishaw?
Yes, please, Karen. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you broke up for me. Thank you, Todd. Policy is important, but you're asking, what do I think is a top priority for Sealaska going forward? And I believe in a couple things, and one of them is shareholder hire into management positions. And to do that, I think we have to get the word out better on what jobs we have available. We do have jobs all over with our fisheries in Europe now. And then we also have the hydro sciences and in the California area. those are two areas that you could go to work now and, you know, tell your children, tell your grandchildren, tell your cousins, you know, tell your sisters or your brothers if they're educated in some of these fields to please apply. The second thing is, I believe that we need to focus a little more on businesses in our southeast region, at least in Alaska, so that we can get more shareholder hire in these areas. Thank you.
Great. Karen. Kitgoon, Charles, any thoughts on priorities Sealaska should focus on?
Well, I think our number one priority right now would, I mean, we just came through the pandemic and we saw how important our services are. So my number one priority, I would have to say, would be continuing services, helping youth and elders, and of course, creating more job opportunities. And I think one thing we really need to work on is sustainability. We've already found out that cutting down old growth forest is not sustainable. There are other opportunities to create income. And I'd like to share those with you. And I look forward to more questioning. But my number one top priority is continuing services, youth and elders, and growing a better future.
Great. How, Monaco, thoughts on Sealaska priorities?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think that Sealaska as a corporation needs to continue to work on their businesses in all the support that they're able to do for some of these priorities. And in terms of advocating, I think, you know, comes from the profits. I think they're able to partner with the tribe, but not try to take the same role as the tribe. I think educating our shareholders on issues is a good thing, and also helping them to kind of see what job opportunities, which is something I mentioned before, getting more shareholders hired and getting, you know, kind of building that infrastructure. And I think that would benefit, you know, the profits and how well Sealaska would be doing. Thank you.
Great. Chief, Mr. Ortiz. Morgan Howard, thoughts?
Yes, I was very pleased to see this on the survey, because it is right in line with who we are, and it's right there in our mission: healthy homelands, healthy people, healthy communities, healthy planet. See those as all linked together, and it goes in a circle. The native issues that we have are the same wherever you're at, and we're fighting hard to solve these tough problems. We're talking about energy. We're talking about food security. We're talking about employment, like which was mentioned here earlier. We're always looking for shareholder hire. We're talking about trying to help out individuals and communities at the same time. So if you're struggling and there's a way we can really help, maybe it's with education. Inflation for education has gone through the roof. I know I have 2 in college and 1 on its way, and it is a struggle to pay tuition. If Sealaska can provide some help there, that's what we'll do. We're looking for ways that we can help out. Chief
Morgan. Mr. Anderson, looks like we have you on camera now. Welcome. And not sure if you heard the transition as you were moving over to this, but the question was about the recent survey that shareholders took. 51% said the number one priority for Sealaska should be advocating for Native rights. And the question to candidates is, what are your thoughts on where Sealaska should prioritize its focus? Mr. Anderson. Patrick, were you able to hear my question?
Hey, Todd, it looks like we may have no audio with the video on Patrick's desktop.
Okay.
I wonder if, Patrick, you can use your phone audio like you had before, but right now we're not able to hear you.
Was that talking to me, Dixie?
Yes, we have you now, Patrick.
Yeah, I had to re-download Zoom and then re-feed back in my audio. but I believe the question was, what public policy issues should we be engaged in? Is that correct?
Yeah, so Mr. Anderson, 51% of the shareholders responded that public policy and advocacy for Native issues should be one of Sealaska's top priorities. And the question to the candidates is, what are your top priorities for Sealaska? In 45 seconds.
Well, if the question is, what is my first top priority for Sealaska, it is to be incredibly profitable. It's through the profits that we're allowed to exercise advocacy. So in terms of what issues we should be engaged in, once we have that profitability, I strongly believe that our status as Native nations is always threatened. You see that in a lot of cases that are being conducted in the country right now. The Indian Child Welfare Act is under attack. At one time, we had significant subsistence rights. Now we don't. The fact that we don't have access to a lot of our traditional foods is harming a lot of Alaska Native families. Tribal status and funding. These are all issues that I've worked on in my many years attending the national, AFN conventions and the national conventions for Indian health, Indian policy. I've also gone to Congress many times to work on those very same issues. They pop up and we're not always as successful as we want to be, but those are the main priorities that I would look at.
Great, sheesh for that. Dr. Michaud?
Thank you, Todd. Well, our business company is Wuxin, which means working together. So I definitely say working together to make money for our shareholders is going to help everybody all together. It allows us to do the advocating as Jaylene does. We obviously have fishing rights that we need to be focusing on, which also is our ocean health, getting sustainable resources to the villages, including gas, water, electric, housing is an issue. Also, healthcare equity. That's obviously my biggest one because that's what I do. And so equity in healthcare, equity in housing, equity in our child's education, getting our languages out in the communities, being able to help the tribes. Again, Wuxin, it's working together, working with Tlingit Haida, working with the other tribal entities, Surge, all of those things, the state, the federal government, working together to get a joint vision on how we're going to help all the people, which will then again help our people. And then obviously our lands for our veterans and for our land list. We also put a lot of effort and a lot of time in that. Thank you very much.
Great. Sadhu, you referenced early in your response the Ocean's Health, which is a great transition into our next question. The next question for each of you is, when it comes to Sealaska business platforms, land, ocean health, and foods as the business focus and priority, do you believe Sealaska is on the right path? And if why or why not? And so we'll start with back to you, Mr. Anderson. Dahudin.
Thank you, Todd. No, I don't think we're on the right path. I was a part of the board when we put together the strategy, and the representations were made that we would be a lot more profitable in the fishing industry than I experienced when we were the owners of Ocean Beauty. Looking at how much we've invested and where we've invested, to know that over 140 million went into our ocean foods platform, and we only made we didn't make any. We lost $3 million last year, about $1 million the year before. The services business on ocean health, a little bit better. But when I look at our operations loss this year, I expected it. A little over 30 million loss in operations, fueled in large part by the stock market. But our businesses are not as successful as I expect them to be. And I would hope that there are ways to make them more profitable. And if I get on the board, I hope to contribute to that. Thank you.
Great. Sheesh. Mr. Howard, is Sealaska on the right path with its business platform?
Yes, absolutely. We're on the right path. What we have now is a foundation, something that Sealaska did not have before. Here's what Sealaska did before, and it's because, and I can tell you it's because it's what all the native corporations besides Sealaska are still doing. They rely on natural resources, natural resource extraction. They rely on government contracting. And then the third bucket of businesses is whatever comes down the path that someone sells them, they think it's a good deal. That's what Sealaska used to do. That's what most of the native corporations still do today. What Sealaska has done is taken the time to build a foundation. We are only in businesses that align with our values. Our thesis is to be in businesses around the health of our oceans, right? So we have hydro sciences. We will be the #1 provider for installing offshore windmills in the United States. That's where we're strategically positioning ourselves. When it comes to seafood, we are strategically positioning ourselves to be the best direct-to-consumer supplier of seafood around the world. We have a lot of potential, and I'm very excited. Thank you for that question.
Great, Chief Morgan. Mr. Ortiz, thoughts on Sealaska's business platforms of land, ocean health, and foods?
Yeah, I have, I believe that we are on a decent path. I have concerns about how much we're invested into foods. It seems like we could be overly invested. I do appreciate the focus for moving to things that are more representative of our values, and foods is something that I think that our people are familiar with and can run that business. I'm a little concerned about some of the recent purchase that just happened. We talk about ocean health, and I believe that the most recent purchase, you have the trawling, those that company is actually doing that. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, I really believe that the service area can be improved. I think I think we can be more creative, and we can educate more of our shareholders, and also, in looking at ways that we can be of service. I really think that's where you could control the most with the decisions that are being made versus just purchasing and like investing in the company. I think Sealaska has full control over those service areas, and that's environmental, scientific, technology, and construction services. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that response. Kale Juice, your thoughts?
Thank you. I know we are on the right trajectory for the next decade. We're 3 years into this decade, and we are looking at a model that we are investing. The reason we invest in education, the reason we invest in culture, is that when we get onto this path and continue this path, that it is our leadership, it is our cultural core values that lead these companies. That takes time. We're coming out of an economic transition. We're going away from extracting. We're going into things that really connect with who we are. And not only am I enthusiastic and understanding of that, I'm very proud of that. It is something that is really true to our values and who we are. And when you say we're rich and we have money or we have these things, what does that mean? What does rich mean to you? And to me, it means that our children benefit from the magnificence of who we are. And that's our plan. And I'm sticking to it. So thank you. Thank you for that question. That was marvelous. I appreciate it.
Our next candidate response, please, from Karen Togg.
Thank you, Todd. Yes, I believe that Sealaska is on the right path. These investments that we've made in the ocean businesses are not just a quickly made decision. There's a lot of due diligence is done in the background that you don't see right off, but they look at the stability of the company that they're buying and the future of that company. Is it going to be around for a while? And a lot of the work that goes behind the scenes is a lot of the processing and the catching of the products that we do have, the fish, is scientifically studied to make sure that it will endure. The the freezing that they do on those fish is a quick freeze. Oh, really? Already? 45 seconds goes fast. Sorry. It's a quick freeze and it makes the product last longer, which makes it more marketable. But I do believe that the fisheries is a good way to go, and also the hydrosciences. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Mr. Skulka.
I believe we're doing a lot of the right things. Land, I think we could do a way better job. There are a lot of landless people out there. I'm one of them. I'm an at-large member, but I do consider myself and other at-large members landless. I would like to see some work done on that. Ocean health, I note that I started out life as a commercial fisherman. Ocean health is very important to me. I taking note that people are starting to notice what goes on upstream, even if it's in other countries, affects our ocean health. And I see movements going towards speaking up about that. Food, we need to make some advances in subsistence rights. I see that being attacked daily. I, like most other shareholders, especially urban and village shareholders, I rely on subsistence, and I'm finding it harder and harder to gain access, and I'm competing with outside user groups. And thank you.
Great. How for that response. Sadhu, your thoughts on Sealaska's business platforms of land, ocean health, and foods?
Thank you. For the ocean health, we are definitely in the right direction. Just to follow from what Karen was saying, we do the flash freezing and there's no waste. And even the trolling that they do in Europe, it's completely different. They are not allowed to waste anything, and they get fined if anything goes back into the ocean. So what we are doing is looking at this as a sustainable business that we can learn from that was successful. None of these businesses were for sale. We sought them out because they are the best of what they do, and we can learn from it, and we can do those things back here in Southeast. We can learn from that. We can do that on the West Coast. We can learn and continue to have that positive ocean health platform because they overfished Europe. And so they had to learn. And so what we're doing is learning from them. So that's what makes it sustainable, because we want to be here for the next 100 years. Businesses in general stay in business between 20 to 30 years. So we're looking for long term. Thank you.
Great. Well, Sheesh. The success of and financial strength of our corporation contributes to a host of benefits that we provide, that Sealaska provides its shareholders. I think among them, if you think about distributions, scholarships, internships, burial benefits, and many other programs. My question to each of you now is: do you believe Sealaska is focusing on the right set of benefits? What would you prioritize as maybe your top couple benefits to our owners, the shareholders? And we'll start with right where we finished, Dr. Michaud.
So I want to just make sure I have the question. So we're saying our priorities for shareholder benefits, and what are the things that come to the top?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, that's 20 seconds, but we have our dividends. Obviously, we know that is a shareholder benefit. It helps pay for the electricity and gas and all those things that we need to survive. We have the our donations that go to different organizations that then multiply what we're able to do. Our donations to SHI will give monies, and then they have to have matching monies that go out. And those are for our culture and for our scholarships. And then we have benefits with the spruce root, same thing, we'll give them money, they have to match those monies as well. And that's to build more businesses, so people can take an idea that they have and be their own boss and make their own business. And we give them those funds to help them be successful. And again, by integrating those things together, we can make those monies go even further in that nonprofit realm. The other benefits, we have the burial benefits, we have our elders benefits. Those are all definitely helpful any way that we can help support. And I got the red sign, so thank you.
Sheesh, how about for that? Kitgun, what are your thoughts on the most important benefits that Sealaska is providing, and are there others too that they should consider?
Right now, I mean, just getting through COVID, I think the assistance with COVID was super important. And of course, our benefits to help educate our youth are at the top of my list. Elder benefits are right up there. One thing I think we could work on is some kind of daycare assistance to help our workforce stay in the workforce rather than being stuck at home. And I think we could really work on getting more opportunities for people to do cultural activities out in the communities. I'm seeing a lot more of that going on, and I like it. I participate in it, and I'd like to see that happen more often, and more meetings. And that's all I can think of.
That's great. Sheesh. Ganesha, your thoughts?
I like the benefits that we have now, the dividends, the donations, and to the communities. And, you know, we have to keep making money in order to do these things. And so if you look at the financial statements for this year, you'll see that we spent $10 million in benefits. So that affected the bottom line of our income statement. But what I would like to see is the child care is a really good example of something that maybe we could expand on in the future. I've seen through the court system, the state of Alaska will say, well, we'll help you. We'll give you a stipend to take this child, and we'll help you out with childcare. We'll help you get a job. But, you know, that's after they take the kids away. That's not right. So try to find a way to help our community with affordable daycare would be something really great, not only here in Southeast Alaska, but in the urban areas and the cities. You know, maybe not alone, but partner with other agencies. Goodness, geez.
Thank you, Karen. Monaco, your thoughts on priority benefits?
Yeah, I would say I believe that the dividend is the most important, because the dividend that the shareholder could use however they would want to use it. It covers all shareholders and wherever they're at. So I really do think that is important, rather than Sealaska telling them how to use it. But with that being said, I would say the scholarships and also the career development, because with the scholarships, it allows, you know, students, you know, whatever age they are, to be able to pursue careers and educate themselves. The other one too is career development. I really think those two need to be tied together, because it goes back to educating and getting them the jobs and seeing what jobs are out there. Sometimes you're in school and you may not even know. So I do like that program that Sealaska has been developing. I would like it to maybe move faster, but yes, I think the dividends, scholarships, and the career development are really good benefits for the shareholders. Thank you.
Very good, Chish. Kailju's thoughts?
Thank you. I think that Sealaska is definitely a unique entity. We are not IBM, we're not Apple. We have a cultural component that is critical in the identity of every single shareholder. You come from somewhere. And one of the question that you asked is really diverse, because that's why we do the survey. That's the importance of it. We've got a shareholder age group differences that are going to bring different things. And so we really are mindful and listening. These communication, that's the number one in my mind, because we have to be able to respond to the uniqueness of our company. And I believe these surveys, this one was really good. It changed. There's no other entity that has policy as a priority, but we're mindful. We know there's an elder population. We know that there's young parents. We know that there's other people out there. So it's very, very good. If you have time, read it. And I do support the dividends, because I do want our shareholders to know you do have a very sophisticated, financially sound group that is in charge of this company right now. And they are very mindful of our business investments and making a profit. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to opt out on that survey and say I'm staying mindful and listening to the results so that we can put that at the table and then make our priorities and decisions based on that. Thank you.
Great. How, Mr. Howard?
Yes, we are focused on the right benefits, but it's always changing. And just as Killjuice referenced, we have the survey, and we have surveys going back in time so we can see how that data has been trending. But the surveys are highly participated in. We have, I think, 5,000 shareholders participated in the last one. So I feel like we get a real good sense of what shareholders are thinking. I can see on the chat, we have shareholders from all over the country right now watching this, Minnesota, Wisconsin. We have shareholders from around the world. We want to be able to adapt right now. Take into consideration Hashagun, where we look at what our ancestors and our descendants would also think is important. And we really want to do that. And that's really what led us to invest in language, because we realized it's urgent now. And so we put a lot of effort toward that, because now is the time. We're down to one last living native speaker, Haida, born learning the language in Alaska. Eyak, a language which was also in Southeast Alaska, is gone. And so we have to adapt and change when we can.
Morgan. Dahudane, Patrick, thoughts on Sealaska's, how they prioritize benefits to shareholders?
Absolutely. I think, as many have said, the biggest benefit we should focus on are dividends, and that means business success. Dividends have not been as large as I had hoped they would grow to back when we were developing the strategic plan. With language and culture, I had wished many board members had taken the same approach back when we were developing the language programs. We still had 500 to 600 Tlingit speakers and a number of Tsimshian and Haida speakers. The Sealaska Heritage Institute has developed a lot of materials, and fortunately that was done much earlier. I don't see the benefits of holding that income at Sealaska when we set up a nonprofit to be able to take care of some of those. Then, like I said, in terms of public policy, we have a lot of shareholders, but those shareholders have children. They have spouses. We're responsible for a whole lot more than just the shareholders that we have on record. And we need to be working in public policy because we can't afford to find programs for all of those. So with daycare, I would say we need to be working with the National Congress of American Indians, AFN, and other tribes to assure that we have the benefit of some of those programs that are set up in some communities, but not in ours. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. I so appreciate the responses to all of these questions from each of you. I mean, it illustrates how diverse and the skill sets are that you bring, your various passions, your vision. We see a lot of commonality, but we also see the unique attributes that you bring forth to this process. Sealaska has 13 board members, and of those 13, they have a very diverse representation and skill set as well. Let's talk a little bit about what you would bring to the Sealaska boardrooms in terms of unique experience or skill sets to contribute to the corporation's success. And we'll start with Karen Tog.
The unique skill set that I bring to the organization is my ability to understand the financial statements. And in the boardroom, you know, sometimes accounting can get really kind of boring and tedious, but I am able to ask questions that helps the non-financial directors understand, because there are a few of us, and there's a few that, you know, I'm not an attorney. So, you know, there's different skill sets all around the table, which helps make a good board so that we can bounce things off of each other. And, you know, it's important to be able to work together. And although you might disagree, it's okay to disagree, but at the end of the day, we all make a decision that we all can walk away from and feel good about. So I guess the financial end is what I bring to the table. Goodness,
Sheesh, Karen. Khagat Keen, your unique skills and experience?
I think my service as chair for both the finance committee and the communications subcommittee does reflect that. I've spent my life in communications, public relations, working for and about Alaska Native people. I've thought about more of these problems than I probably should have been. I spend a lot of time thinking about what can make the lives of our shareholders better. What can make our communities healthier? How can we do this? You know, Sealaska, like the rest of the Native corporations, was set up to fail. It was set up to assimilate. But here we are 50 years later, and I'm just passionate about, we've now have figured out a business platform. Now we also need to figure out how to provide the benefit to shareholders, and that's what I spend my time thinking about.
Very good. Oh, sheesh. Dr. Michaud?
I have a lot to bring to the board. Probably my first one is succession planning. So I've been in senior leadership in the tribal health organizations for over 15 years. I also have my MBA in international business, so also my financial knowledge and skills and abilities there. Cultural connection, connected with my culture, as well as helping connect people to culture up here in Anchorage in my job. In my job I've done at South Central Foundation. I was the senior director over our public relations, the elders program, which was the only day program that there is that serves over 200 elders a day. The youth internship program that had over 70 youth interns that we had every year. I ran the nutritional healing clinic. I run now the recovery and reentry program for this state in Anchorage, and obviously health and wellness for our people. So understanding where our people are coming from.
Great. How, Mr. Ortiz?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I bring a technical background that I don't think I've ever seen on the Sealaska board. I work as an engineer. As an engineer, you're a problem solver, coming up with new ideas to solve problems. We live in a world of technology now. I mean, most of the most successful companies are, you know, using technology or developing it. As we talk about ocean health, I believe that you would utilize technology in order to not only be successful in cleaning and those aspects, but also be profitable. So I also come from a, you know, working for-profit companies, basically looking to how you can, you know, accomplish a task, but also make money from it. So I would bring those things. Thanks.
Great, Kalchish. Patrick, what unique skills or experience would you bring to the Sealaska board?
Well, Todd, I'm a systems person. I look at a whole, and I try to figure out ways that we can make that whole bigger and better. And I'm not talking about a whole like in a piece of paper, but the entire organization. So I am very well trained in finance, very well trained in law, in the history of the Settlement Act, in language and culture. And I would say the biggest thing that I would hope to bring is that I was frustrated when I was on the board with the representation that we were being successful when we were receiving a lot of passive income. I've analyzed the way the board has represented and communicated to shareholders that the success is due to their efforts. But when we have tremendous 7I revenue, over 30 million this year, when we have on occasion tremendous investment company revenue, those are not things that we have earned. I think we need to focus on the business success and not claim that we're successful. And I think that calls for acknowledging that we're not as successful as we should be.
Great, thank you, Dr. Dean. Kailjuice.
Thank you. I love the question, and it allows me to share a little bit about my core cultural values, and that I was raised in a sense of community, not individualism, a very non-Indigenous perspective. And I believe giving back and looking at the underserved and looking at ourselves as a part of a whole, a part of this earth, a part of this community, a part of this world, and each other. And so because of that, I can take things and my education, my law degree, the things that I went to school for, you know, whether I have a degree in First Nations linguistics, but none of that matters unless I have the ability to apply it at the table. And this is the first opportunity we've had where not the equality, we have equity. I'm so proud to sit on a board that actually recognizes the value of those things that we do have to bring to the table. They're very individual, but the gift is building trust, looking at my co-directors as contributing to this beautiful picture that's coming down the road for Sealaska. Thank you for that awesome question. Thank you.
For your answer, Mr. Skulka, your thoughts on unique skills and experience you'll bring to the Sealaska board?
Well, I think one of my unique things is my connection to the land, water, more importantly, the shareholders. I get to spend a lot of time in Southeast traveling around, working with shareholders and our children. So I have a really unique perspective on what our future is going to look like, what our children's wants and needs are, what their dreams are. And I also bring to the table my experience in the fish market, catching, selling, maintaining a boat. And I've got a lot of other things too that I bring to the table. I mean, my job is basically art, culture, and technology. I think that's important too.
Great. And Sheesh, to Newsom for all of your responses. I love the references to our children. It's a great segue to the next question for each of you. Some time ago, the shareholders passed the resolution to enroll descendants, and more recently passed a resolution to open up the enrollment beyond those that were born after December 18, 1971. So my question to each of you is, how best does Sealaska engage and inspire the new shareholders to become as passionate and caring about the corporation as those who have had their shares for so many years? And we'll start with Kitgun, right where we left off.
Wow, touchy subject. Of course, I get to start. A lot of people weren't happy with that call, and a lot of people were. Personally, I didn't care for my shares to be watered down, but at the same time, I love the idea of recognizing our citizens and our shareholders as people and not counting on blood quantum. Blood quantum was just a way to eliminate us. So I was really proud when Sealaska stepped forward and set the precedents and allowed to recognize our people through lineage. Yes, I thank you for that question.
Great, thank you, Charles, and thank you for correcting I made a technical mistake too in the question about I said those born after 1971. It was actually the open enrollment regarding removing the blood quantum. So Chish, Charles, for clarifying that too, and appreciate your response. Ganesha, your thoughts on how best to engage new shareholders?
A lot of the new shareholders are really technology savvy. And so I think Sealaska has been doing a really good job with their e-news blasts that they send out. And the news blasts aren't always about business, but a lot of it's about culture that is going on in our world. And one thing that they're really blasting about is the language. You know, Sealaska has increased the amount of contributions that we're putting aside to help preserve our languages, and you know, Tlingit, Hatkil, and Tsimshian. That's so important. And we're the people who are getting the grant, so to speak, for keeping our languages alive are trying to reach people by technology. So you can learn online, you can attend webinars to learn all three of those languages. So I believe that is really, really important, and I hope that our younger generations are taking advantage of learning. Great,
Chish. Angela, what are your thoughts on how best to engage and inspire our new shareholders?
Best way to engage and inspire our new shareholders is just connecting. So we are doing the connection through these virtual webinars. We have them almost every month. It seems like there's a way that we're connecting with shareholders, and it's new and old shareholders. So it's everybody. We also are connecting by doing community meetings and going out to the different areas in the region all throughout the year to meet with people and be a part of the communities and be able to listen to the community leaders in partnership with them and see how we can help support those in there. And we do a welcome packet for all the new shareholders, and then we do the e-newsletter. So my generation, I go green. So we get the newsletters. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your response. Kagatkin, your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I've never been more proud of Sealaska than when we are able to put forth to the shoulders for them to decide, and they did through vote. Would you like to bring in the next generation? Are they going to be a part of us regardless of what their blood quantum is? I showed pictures earlier of my great-grandparents. When I grew up in Yakutat, nobody cared what your blood quantum was. It's just a ridiculous notion. You are a Kekwedi or your Kane Kwan, you are a grandfather or a grandchild. This is who you are. So to answer your question, how do we engage and inspire? We do that by doing well, by doing things that anyone, especially young people, would believe in. Angela said connection, so vital. When they come to us, we let them know we're Sealaska, we're not the tribe, but we can connect you to the tribe. We're not clans, but we can connect you to clans. We are not, many things in the culture. We can connect you to Sealaska heritage. We can help. If we're the doorway for you to get back to you learning about who you are and identity, we'll be helpful to do that.
Thank you, Morgan. Mr. Anderson, your thoughts on engaging and inspiring our new shareholders?
My thoughts, Todd, are that our new shareholders come to us as adults. And there is a huge cohort of children and babies and toddlers that are not receiving the kind of services that allow them to grow up to become healthy adults. And that's what I focused my tribal health career on. I was president of the Native American Children's Alliance. I focused on justice issues. We have a huge number of our adults in prison. Is that a legacy that we want for them to see when they inherit their stock, that all of a sudden they're subject to these adult criminal laws when before it was juvenile? So there's a lot of issues that I believe we need to be working on, and to engage some of these adult new shareholders in working on in public policy. And that is, and you've mentioned a couple of them, childcare is almost impossible to find. Suicide is very rampant in our communities. And there are just a lot of issues that I believe we need to be addressing that we're not.
Great. Monaco, your ideas?
Yeah, I guess mine would be, really educating and, inspiring them and go along with how well Sealaska, showing that we're succeeding and it's a great company. I've talked about getting shareholders to be employed and get them excited to want to work for Sealaska. Another aspect that I believe is now 51% of the shareholders are living outside of Alaska, and many of them are younger, and they, maybe not have had the chance to go and be part of and see what's going on in Alaska, and so that's where I think it's making those connections and helping them to understand and like bringing them in, like bringing them all together and making sure that they all feel included. I think it's important that continue to just, give them that inspiration, and that would benefit the company too, because you would bring in that talent and be able to help Sealaska to continue to grow and be better and stronger. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Monaco. Kale Juice.
Thank you. I believe that we have engaged with the new shareholders that came on board. They were given packets. I would say continue to do that, because to inspire them to understand the actual magic of Alaska. Many may never have the opportunity to come home. Every single one of our shareholders has a connection to our homelands, to one of the communities in Alaska that formed this corporation. You are all connected. And like was spoken earlier, that we do go out and try to add those connections. Many of us on the board do introductions in the language just to teach. We connect people. We don't have to be doing that in our role as directors. We do that because we're culturally connected, and we have connected people back home through these meetings. This current team that I sit on, one of the biggest pushes we had was communication. That's why we're having these community meetings, but they're not just to have them, it's to connect and to bring them back. And hopefully, if you never step a foot in Alaska, that somehow we can bring you the magic of the beautiful place that we live in and share with you some of your ancestry. That makes you the richest person in the world. So thank you for that question. Thank you, Phil.
So we've had an opportunity to talk a little bit about Sealaska's business operations, some shareholder benefits, engaging our new shareholders. There was a comment made during some of your introductions about hoping that we would get to certain opportunities for you to be able to talk about some of your priorities. This is that opportunity. So each of you, we ask that you spend up to 45 seconds on any topic that you desire that we haven't had a chance to cover, or if there's anything that you want to reemphasize. And we'll start with Morgan Howard.
Okay, finally I get to go first. First of all, I don't want to forget to let everyone know how honored I am to be serving with and running with three wonderful women, Kale Juice, Gunisha, Sadhu, Angela, and Karen. Check them out online if you don't know them. Learn more about them, and you can see that these three women have been devoted to and have spent their life serving Native people, serving their communities in health and wellness, and with corporations and with entities. Karen tried to retire. She did a horrible job of it. She's once again serving her community through the tribe. I'm honored to serve with them. When you're a director, you're just 1 out of 13. It's really a team effort, and it's really management who makes the money. And it's great to be part of this. Sheesh,
Morgan. Patrick Anderson.
I found my unmute button. Todd, Morgan said something important. It's management that makes the money. And what I want to talk about is that management has not been making the money. So looking last year at the 60.2 million that they listed as net income, 79 million of that came from passive sources, from carbon credits, from 7I income, from our investment fund. We had a huge investment year last year with over 30 million. This year it was down 14 or 15 million. And we see the results of not having profitability come in years when we're relying on this passive income. And then the tax advantages. When I served on the board, it was a 39%, 38% tax rate for corporations. Now it's down to, I believe, 21%. Inflation, net operating losses have contributed significantly to performance, but those are not sustainable long-term. I think we have to have the business focus and maintain the policy work with our partners like the tribe, like the health corporation and organizations, That's the focus that I would like to bring to the board, that we accept reality and we begin to look at how do we make our businesses profitable.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Karen Todd.
Thank you, Todd. One thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was the 7I and the 7J. I think there's a misconception that when Sealaska gets the 7I money, that it's contributes to our revenue, but also we give half of that to the village corporations. So, you know, the comments have all insinuated that Sealaska gets it all. Well, we don't. So if you're wondering what happens to it, you know, you need to go to your local village corporation and ask them what they did with it. It's an important concept, and I don't think that everybody understands it. The other thing is, I think that Sealaska is going in the right direction with the fisheries and with the hydrosciences. I truly believe in that, and I think that we will begin to see better profits. Last year was hard because not only was the market down, but the hangover from COVID and the supply chain issues, it affected the whole world, and we're still seeing that today when we go to the grocery store. So Sealaska was not immune from those challenges in order to make your company successful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Karen. Angela Michaud, topic of your choice.
I just want to say I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to serve on this board of directors and to help support our shareholders. And, you know, I have to say passive income is one way to make money, and it's working harder. I mean, smarter, not harder. And so we put a lot of effort into getting those carbon incomes, and then that money makes money for us. And that's what we're seeing. And then you don't have to have it managed. It's just done. And I do want to see that our lands are being utilized and that we can use that cultural tourism and continue to grow that and have areas for people to come back and touch foot on their lands. These are your lands, and I want you all to be able to come back and utilize them and go pick berries. And thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Charles Skulka Jr.
Oh, thanks. One thing I'd like to share with the shareholders is I really appreciate being able to finally run, and I feel that I would bring to the board some diversity and another perspective. I know a lot of the other board members are CEOs, past CEOs, CFOs. They all have these big positions, but I don't see a lot of common shareholders on the board. My main work is working with youth, working with our future. I really want to continue that work and to give back even more. And I feel the way I can do that is by becoming a member of the board. I appreciate your time, your support, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Kailju's, topic of your choice.
You're only giving me 45 seconds,
45
but
seconds.
I appreciate it. There's so many things that's one of the things where I would take that if there's any responses in the chat, I would take it and I would listen and I would try to get back to them because there's so many issues. And I too would like to echo what Morgan said, and hats off to you, Morgan. The skill set that we're bringing, I've sat on many boards, as many of the people on this board have, but it has changed and we are coming into a different time. And I'm very proud that it's no longer my way or the highway, or if you've sat on a village corporation, which many of us have, or anything, whatever you've been involved in, but the ability to bring trust to sit together and to learn working styles, to learn what your talent and your skill is at the table is such a high level of respect. In our culture, in the Haida culture, we call it behind the curtain, and that's where we do our work. And when we come out from behind that curtain, we represent this company as one. And that is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I think we're doing an awesome job. And as the clan bearer for the Iguanas, I hold the clan flag for my clan in Heidelberg, Alaska. And I always go back to my core cultural values. And that is being able to do everything and excel at it. And that includes taking what we have culturally to the table, applying our skills. And I'm hoping I'm able to do this. This is the end of my first term. Many of us, the 9 members of the board, have served less than 6 years. So it's a newer board, and we do need the opportunity to continue to develop together, to bring you the very best that we can. So thank you for that question. That's a tough one, but I appreciate it, and I feel confident that that's where we're heading. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you. Monica Ortiz, please, sir.
Yeah, I guess I'll focus on, I mentioned before the profits, but also shareholder hiring. Shareholder hiring, I really think this is an area that we want to get the numbers up. And again, it ties into, making sure that we have the opportunities. I recently asked a question of how many shareholders are at some of the subsidiaries that Sealaska owns, Greg's Drilling, MBS, and also Cognital. And the answer that I got was basically 0, 3, and 0 shareholders at each of those. And I really think that that's a pretty low number. And I know that there's challenges in getting shareholders, qualified, but we really need to tie that in. I think that's important. I think that will help us to sustain and become a stronger business going forward. But getting job opportunities and so I'll say again, shareholder hiring is one of them. Thanks.
Great. Sheesh. How Director Newsom, to each of you for your responses to not only that question, but to all the questions. And that concludes our pre questions, but we want to give each one of you an opportunity to make concluding statements at the end of this session. So each of you has up to a minute for your concluding statements. And we'll start with Patrick Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Todd. I had an opportunity to learn from the board, but I've also made a lot of opportunities for myself in the past. A couple of things that resonated with me before were how do we deal with those of us who are not as fortunate? I've acknowledged recently that I came out of a housing project, out of a family with poverty. Even though I come from a high caste family that has done well in Alaska, I lived in the Seattle area. And I know that a lot of our shareholders don't have the benefits that many of us that are sitting on this Zoom call have. They don't have childcare, as was brought up. They don't have income. They depend on their distributions to pay bills. My sister just passed away, and her family appreciated the burial benefits that Sealaska has put in place. And as some of you know, I think Morgan in particular, Yak Tat Kwan had an $1,800 benefit. The benefit that came to my sister was appreciated by a number of my nieces and nephews who were never informed that they were eligible for Sealaska stock. So I told them that. So I think we have a lot of work to do, but it's all hinged on profitability and making every advantage out of the funds that we have to go out and earn a living. And Monica, I liked your statement about shareholder hire. It was a huge focus while I was on the board. And I don't see the timer anywhere, but I'm done with that. Maybe it's partly because I don't have my reading glasses on and I can't quite see the entire little print on the screens. But thank you, Todd. Appreciate your moderation of this event.
Goodness, geez, Patrick, and so sorry to learn about your sister. Our wings are around you. and the rest of your family. Mr. Ortiz.
Well, again, thanks for having me. I'm glad I can share some of my ideas. I guess I would say to shareholders, I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to listen to you. Like I said, my focus has been, making Sealaska better, being more profitable, getting more shareholders hired. I'm open to looking at term limits and also discretionary voting and revisiting those, whether those should be put in place. And again, just really I want to serve all of our shareholders, the originals and the new shareholders. Feel free to reach out to me. I will be in Seattle, but you can also reach me. I left my number and my email. So again, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts, ideas, and concerns. So thank you. Ganesh.
Ganesh. Ganesh Shah, Karen Talk.
Thank you, Todd. Well, I think that one of the goals for Sealaska for the next couple of years should be shareholder hire. I know I say it a lot in the boardroom, and that is we have been paying shareholder scholarships for over 40 years now. So we have, excuse me, educated shareholders who have gone through the education process of getting their bachelor's and their master's. Some have even gotten their PhDs. And why we need to recruit some of them to come to our companies and work. And the comment I hear at times is, well, they're just not educated in this particular area. Well, when you have somebody that educated who has business experience, you can train them, bring them in at a lower level and move them on up. And we need to do a better job at doing that. I just really believe in that wholeheartedly. And so shareholder hire is kind of at the top of my list. Ganesh Chish.
Dr. Michaud, Sadhu.
Ganesh Chish, everyone again for sitting through all the questions, and hopefully we answered a lot of questions you had. As I said, some of the top things that I'm interested in is succession planning, not only for our businesses, but for our shareholders. And if you go online, you can see our shareholder development, and we are making that a priority. We are getting together a list of all of our shareholders and what their degrees are, and that's something I'll continue to push on. It's not there yet, but pushing on it all the time so that we can get out that information to you. If you guys are looking for jobs, go on the opportunities site, and we continue to hear that there's nobody who's applying who's a shareholder, so we're trying, but also not just trying, we are actively raising up our people through shareholder development and letting them open their new jobs. They can also be an employee, and so there's lots of opportunities out there, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve on this board, and I thank you guys for your time.
Great, Ganesh. Kale Juice, closing comments.
Thank you. I just again also share the sentiments of everybody about thanking you for taking your time. I think 3 years ago, when I was running for this board for the very first time, one of the biggest goals we had was to increase communications. I think we've successfully started to move down that road with these enhanced meetings and the ability to do Zoom. Now, coming out of COVID, I think it's really, really critical that we listen, take that survey information and take it to heart, and to use it in applying any strategic planning, any future vision planning. Leadership is a tough thing. And I shared this with some of the other directors, leaders have to make decisions, and that's the hardest thing, because there is no easy answer. Oftentimes it does require mindful, very focused thinking and trusting and building relationship in the boardroom and outside of the boardroom. Given your vote, I would continue to do that. I believe it's a skill that our board is honing right now, and I'm proud of that, but it will take time. And given that opportunity, I just think the sky's the limit. So thank you. And thank you for the question.
Mr. Skulka, Kikun.
Oh, in conclusion, well, I'd like to say that I too am in favor of term limits. I'm in favor of ending the discretionary vote. I'm in favor of growing our workforce and creating more opportunities for people to work at our corporation. But I do feel they're going to need daycare assistance. I'm in favor of somehow creating a way for people to be able to find affordable housing. I dream of the day that we get our fishing rights back. I also dream of the day that we can not only visit our homelands, but actually occupy them and live on them. And I dream of the day that our children have that opportunity too. I've been working with our youth quite a bit. I know what their dreams are, what their hopes for their future are. And I think my presence on the board would bring some diversity and balance. And I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Great. Sheesh, Hagat Teen. I'm sorry, Hagat Teen, Morgan Howard.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for this evening moderation, and thank you, Jaylene, for doing the timekeeping. And listening to Charles there, he started to list many of the issues that affect all of us, and we could easily all add to it: opioid addiction, young men in prison, the mental health issues our children are facing, unprecedented for this generation. These are the things that keep me up at night. These are the things I think a lot about. Dividends, there's not a single dividend distribution that wasn't meaningful to me or my family. Not a single one. The struggle is real. We are all there, and we're all trying to move ourselves up. Sealaska is a vehicle that can do it. I have the strongest belief that we're on the right path to making it happen. We haven't had much time here. I put my name and number in the chat. Give me a call anytime, 907-209-0360. Morgan Howard at sealaska.com, morgan.howard. We love all of you. We appreciate you, and thanks for the time.
Great. Well, I would like to express my appreciation to the 7 of you candidates. I have to say, I mean, each one of you is a leader, true leader in my mind and in my heart. I learned something from each of you today. I was inspired by each one of you throughout the evening, and I just so appreciate you putting yourself forward, not only for service potentially with Sealaska, but also in the great, incredible work you are all doing in each of our communities. So goodness cheesh, how Toyakshinusum for all that you do and for sharing this time with us. I want to also say goodness cheesh, how Toyakshinusum to Sealaska for hosting the event. Greatly appreciate the additional information. I mentioned at the very beginning that there's, I hope shareholders, cheesh, how Toyakshinusum for joining us tonight, because I hope you'll join me in after this going to mysealaska.com, because you can learn more about each one of these candidates, and you can continue to engage with them throughout this whole process. But I think one of our most important responsibilities as a shareholder is voting. So the work that and time that you put invested this evening to share time with all of us is important, and we greatly appreciate your participation in voting me, certainly as a fellow proud shareholder. But with that, I'll hand back over to Jaylene Kukesh. Good night.
Chish, Todd, for helping. Thank you so much to all the candidates for caring, for putting your name out there, for caring about our corporation and our shareholders. So just thank you so much for participating today. We had 100% participation of our candidates, and it's just been great to learn more about all of you. And for those of you who didn't join us right at the beginning, again, my name is Jaylene Kukesh. I'm the Vice President for Policy and Legal Affairs, and my most important role right now is Corporate Secretary and getting this election completed legally and on time and with quorum. You all can help me with quorum, vote your proxy. We need 50% plus one. We have more community meetings coming up. So those of you who are online and want to continue to be engaged with Sealaska, we have another meeting that's virtual or webcast tomorrow. It's our meeting in Anchorage, and while it's in person in Anchorage, we will be doing a virtual record our presentation of that via live web stream. So as a shareholder, you can go onto mysealaska.com, log in, and you can participate with that. And you can see here on the screen the other meetings that are coming up. The other virtual meeting beyond Anchorage would be the annual meeting, which happens on June 24th in Powak. Again, that is web streamed for all of our shareholders to participate. I do, like Todd, want to encourage everyone to vote. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the new descendant shareholders you know of that have newly enrolled in Sealaska. We need you to vote. It is your voice with Sealaska. And just a reminder, those of you who join us online, you're eligible for door prizes. So we do have some door prizes for today's session. I won't read all of them, but you'll see the winners on the screen. The big winner is Judea Martin, $750. And Sydney Evenson won $500, and Ashlyn Goody won $350, and Jeannie Amanoff won $250. And you can see the rest of those, and we'll post those online for those of you who can't read fast enough before we take this off the screen. So, but encourage others to join the webcast tomorrow while we live stream in from Anchorage, and then also join us live on the in the annual meeting. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you to the candidates. Thank you, Todd, and everybody have a great evening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
How